Hi, I am George Thornton. I'm an advanced Cicerone and national ranked BJCP judge. And today I'm going to do a quick sip of a fantastic beer from a brewery called Brasserie de la Senne, which is located in Brussels in Belgium. And this is their Brett Porter, 5.7%. And we're going to give this a try, see what it's all about. This is bottled in November of 2022, so as of today's drinking, this would be about 9 months old, which for a porter, maybe not as fresh as I would look for, but with the Brett, we can see if we might expect some kind of extra character development, and we're gonna see how that goes. So as we get going, let me just remind you that we are booking for our 2023, 2024 Belgian Beer-Cation and Germany Beer-Cation. Germany is in April of 2024, and then our next Belgium Beer-Cation is going to be in the fall of 2024, around September time. So if you want to go drink these beers fresh, do a lot of dinner pairings, have me take care of the hotels, the trains, get all that sort of planning, day-to-day stuff taken care of with a lot of cultural and beer sort of activities included. And then a little bit of free time to have you kind of cruise around on your own, check out some other stuff. Of course, with me being there to give you a lot of advice on where to go, etc. Hit it up, georgeyesgeorge.com. Yeah, so let's get on with this tasting. So pop that open. And I can immediately smell notes of Kirsch wine or Kirsch liqueur or cherry, and little notes of leather and mocha, chocolate, a little touch of maybe coffee, and this is just from opening the bottle, so pretty nice. I'm gonna give that a nice sturdy pour. Looks like there's a touch of sediment, so I'll leave that behind, but so far so good. Nice, beautiful kind of black all the way with little hints of ruby at the edges there. Kind of transitioning from this nice, beautiful ruby to light brown to nearly opaque black right in the center. Nice, I'd say mocha colored head. Looks pretty persistent. Pretty tight bubbles all around with some fisheye, small little bubbles at the top, but hanging in there pretty strong. Aroma, pretty incredible. It's kind of maybe a Black Forest cake where you have the cherry filling, and then you have that nice intense rich cocoa powder, fresh dark chocolate, all of that mixing together with a little hint of coffee. So it's I've got a beautiful fresh piece of Black Forest cake in front of me with a coffee, and I can smell it all together. It's really nice. Little notes of that woody leather. I'm gonna assume that's coming from Brett characteristics. If you don't know what Brett is, it's a type of wild yeast. The long name would be Brettanomyces, and this type of yeast would be in the air all around us, but it would definitely thrive in barrels that we're storing beer. And that's kind of where this beer style comes from. This actually kind of harkens back to the British porters of the 1800s, which were all the rage in England and around Northern Europe. And a lot of Belgian styles that we know of today, like the Flanders Red, Flanders Brown, are sort of influenced by the popularity of the English porter and these techniques of fermenting in these really large wooden barrels. Eventually for porter, that desire to have a more quote unquote clean fermentation profile, as in lack of the presence of Brettanomyces or wild yeast, became more desirable. So people were looking for ways to sort of eliminate that process, have a bit more control over which yeast was being used. So so this is kind of an old school throwback to, I would say, a porter of the 1800s. You might expect to taste a little bit more like this. So if you want to go kind of down a porter deep dive, grabbing this beer would probably be one of your easiest ways for finding a good commercial example of it. Yeah, the aroma is just incredible. I haven't even got to the flavor yet, but so for malts, we're in that chocolate, cocoa, mocha territory. For the hops, and just so I'm being consistent for the malt characteristics, I'd say it's medium to medium low territory. I'm going to call it medium low, but very, very nice. For the really hops I'll get to later, but for the yeast characteristics, that like cherry, leather, a little bit of like wood, little bit of like little bit of earthiness, but this could be hops. So the yeast I'm going to put in like the medium territory. The hops I'm going to put in the low territory. I'm going to describe them. There's a faint like dried herbs de Provence sort of character in here that I'll assign to the hops. So my first impressions are very dry. It has a really nice, like full body, fairly creamy texture. Yet this isn't coming from residual sweetness. This finished like immediately on the tongue. You can feel how dry it was. Yet it has this beautiful body and like a good weight to it, but it's not sticky. It's not sweet. So it's not like body coming from a lot of excess like unfermented sugars per se. And for the flavor, it has kind of pretty much the same notes as the aroma, that like mix of like chocolate, cocoa, coffee, little hint of like French roast coffee, you know, like darker burnt sort of characteristics, but just a touch of it. And that's all kind of coming from the malt. There's maybe a hint at some sort of caramel, but it's really subdued. It's not really there. In fact, most of the perception of sweetness that I'm getting from this, I think, is coming from the yeast profile, giving us that fruity cherry and a little touch of apricot and like pear, and then this really beautiful like kind of textured like cedar and leather wood sort of characteristics. This reminded me a little bit of like cedar boxes, like, you know, like in a cigar shop or something, and like an old, you know, leather bound book kind of vibe, or like an old like really well worn in leather chair or leather couch, that kind of territory. So really nice how those all like weave together. And the balance overall, this is really leaning towards, I'd say, a very balanced beer that's a showcase of some really nice like porter-like chocolatey characteristics for the malts, but just nicely balanced with some really cool Brettanomyces characteristics, and very, very, very nice. And again, with that finish or the body description, it's or I guess the mouthfeel description. So very low alcohol warmth. I'd say basically none, 5.7%. So not really expecting it, but on something that finishes this dry, you're not expecting there to be a lot of room for things to hide, and it's doing really well. I'd say medium body with, let's check the carbonation. Medium plus carbonation kind of fills up pretty well. And you can see that head is nice and persistent. This is just like a really lovely beer. If you have a chance to grab this beer, I highly recommend it. What do I want to eat with this? So the thing that's lingering for me is there's like this kind of roasty, dry, like French roast coffee kind of in the back. And this is still like that cherry too is still just lingering. So again, it's just like having a piece of German chocolate cake or like Black Forest cake, which is like epic. I love cake in general, so win for me. But to eat with this, you know, I might look for something to cut through that a little bit. So I might need some salt. I might need a little bit of fat, but I don't know. You know, this I think can play with the fat a little bit. It might be kind of interesting. So if you're going for like a steak or something like that, but then you might want to put some like blue cheese crumble or something on there to help provide some like acidity or brightness to kind of cut through that as well, and see how those kind of fruity flavors from the cheese play with the fruity flavors here, see how that interacts. You could go as light as like a salad of some sort, but I would definitely put some protein on there, whether it's like braised steak or like salmon, because I think you want a little bit of heaviness, maybe like a balsamic glaze or something, or a dressing. I think that could work really well. And then if you had some like nuts or something on the salad to help kind of play with some of the malty characters here, I think that would make the salad more interesting for you. And then in terms of dessert, you know, like, of course, I do want to try this with a German chocolate cake because it's making me think of that. I can almost have like a coffee, this beer, and a cake at the same time and see how it goes. But I also do think that playing with like a cheesecake could be fun in this territory, especially if you're going for like a really traditional cheesecake that has like actual flavor of cheese in it. So not just like a New York cheesesteak or cheesecake could be great, but I would maybe go for like a Basque cheesecake, give that a try. Definitely could work with a lot of cheeses with this. I would probably go towards like the white cheddars, maybe something that's like a slightly aged Gouda or something along those lines. And then in terms of other dishes, I might think like Provençal type stuff. So I might go towards like a really traditional chicken noodle soup or coq au vin. Basically going for that, like if it grows together, it goes together sort of vibe. So in Belgium, a lot of like kind of rustic, hearty sort of farmhouse dishes. So lots of herbs de Provence and like cooking chicken in their juices, that sort of stuff. So I would kind of go that direction. But then I'm also thinking that like something that had a lot of like Moroccan spice could be really fun with this. So looking towards some of the kind of Moroccan dishes could be a fun way to go with this too. And I think a lot of those spices and herbs have a lot to like interact and play with here. So I would maybe go for some lamb or something like that. That's kind of in like a Moroccan spice rub. But yeah, that's this fantastic beer from Brasserie de la Senne. They are from Brussels, and this is their Brett Porter, 5.7%. Check it out. Again, don't forget to share this video with your friends, hit the like, subscribe. I'll be doing a lot of the sort of quick sip beers, and eventually coming up working on a like 10-week kind of series on going through the whole BJCP study guide process, so that you can kind of study with me and have like a video study buddy. So if that's interesting to you, let me know so I know for sure that I should do it. And if you're interested in doing some really cool epic trips to southern Germany, northern Germany, Belgium, etc., I'm piecing these trips together. They'll be coming out every year. I'll be doing about 2 a year. Of course, if you'd like to do something private, hit me up. I can plan a private trip for you and your friends, but having a lot of fun putting those together and planning those. Really excited for, actually the first one's coming up next week. I'll be in Belgium drinking Brasserie de la Senne from the source, and really excited to bring everybody in on that. So check out the website, george.com. If you have any questions, hit me up here or on Instagram. Happy to chat. And good luck. Good luck with your beer studies and enjoyment. See you next time. Ciao.